everybody. Welcome to Task Force Geek Spoiler Alert. I am your host, Beth A. Freely, and I am joined today by Dirk, the Man Hooper, my best friend and co-author, Mariam, one of the craziest lightsaber wielding women I know, and the awesome and ever-present Walt Thompson. And today we are talking about episode 5 of Obi-Wan. I am going to tell you all right now, if you have not watched this episode,
go watch it.
Go away and watch it.
Turn us off right now.
Go away.
Go.
You have to go see it before you come back and listen to us.
There's so much stuff that we need to unpack and talk about in this episode. This episode was epic, as we predicted it would be. Okay, which means they either need to step up their game for the last episode of the series, or there's going to be a whole bunch of disappointed people around there.
Right. Well, so far, I'm going to give the writers kudos. They've done really good on, actually, I think they were really good on Reva's story, even though this is an Obi-Wan show. But I think they did a good job with Reva and her and what she's up to.
So what other first impressions do you have, sis?
Well, can I say that I called it?
Yes, you did. Well, you called it. You did. You called it.
Wait, what do we call it? Because remember, I wasn't here last week. I had a show I had to do.
Talk to us, Walt.
I called this way back when. I called that the third sister, Reva, was one of those Padawans that was escaping.
Yes.
So I called it.
And
you and I both said the same thing. Yep.
And I was wrong on that, but I definitely, the redemption arc is happening.
Maybe. Is it?
The only thing is the reason why I give the writers kudos, because they've really been able to create her story where you understand where she's coming from and why she's reacting the way she's reacting.
Yeah.
But I also love what they did with Obi-Wan. So
Dirk, what are you thinking? You're awful quiet over there.
I think that, well, I'm letting everyone talk. I think that there's a lot of people out there who are very upset with the fact that Reva has a character arc in this thing as well. I'm not one of them. I like that, but a lot of people just want it to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, like we saw him in the first 3 films, running around, jumping over stuff, and cutting people in half. We're getting a different story here, and I also predicted that we're looking at Kathleen Kennedy inserting another character into the Star Wars universe. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Whether she ends up on the dark side or the light side, I think that we're seeing her origin story here.
Or if she even survives.
We're seeing it. Well, look, once you cut a dude in half and he comes back better than ever.
And the Inquisitor.
As long as you've got a body,
Well,
it's not.
It was stated.
You can kind of brush that off.
Yeah, it's been stated several times before. Hate is a good motivator for hate and revenge.
Full of hate
and revenge.
She's still full of hate.
Yeah.
So my thought would be: will Reva be the first Inquisitor to survive Vader?
We won't know until next week.
I think it's likely.
Will she be the first Inquisitor to survive Vader? Because if you played any of the video games, or every Inquisitor that fails Vader, gone.
They don't have. Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, uncles, granddads.
Where is Dad anyway?
And welcome, Maxine.
Hello.
And hey, Mom.
Hello. So I'm really, I kind of feel like she will survive because they've made her such a big deal, but that means she would probably be the first Inquisitor to survive.
They've worked too hard creating this character to just dust her off. In my opinion, just speaking, thinking about Star Wars and about the big picture and stuff. Yeah, I think we're probably going to be seeing her after this. I don't know whether she's going to be on the good side or the bad side.
Nope. Yeah, no, she definitely has an axe to grind with everybody.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a, and that's why I really am impressed with the writers, because they've actually made a compelling reason why she is the way she is. Not just you're turning to the dark side just so that you can, survive. Right. I mean, she literally has a compelling reason.
everyone has a reason we know why Palpatine is on the dark side. He just craves power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know why, Anakin is fell to the dark side because, grief.
Well,
So,
they kind of highlighted it in the episode that Anakin has to win and he has to have decisive wins. They were really driving that home with the flashbacks.
and that's also key to how the episode ended as well.
Yes, absolutely. What do you think, sis?
I'm just sitting here taking it in.
Come on, sister.
Because I got some thoughts. I got some serious thoughts. Let's start off with how the episode. Let's start with how the episode actually starts off. We've got Vader.
Did you say hi to Steve?
No.
Hello, Steve.
Steve! Shank! You better have some comments today, buddy boy. We want to hear them all.
Here he comes.
I can add you. I can add you if you want to come play. I mean, just say so. So let's start off at the beginning of this. We get Vader front and center in this episode. We get Vader, all Vader, nothing but Vader. Starting off with chasing down Obi-Wan and the helpers of the Jedi to the planet.
The embryo of the Resistance.
Yep.
Yes, Steve. All Vader, all the time.
It's the embryo of the Resistance. It hasn't started. It's just starting to percolate.
This is the seeds of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Okay. And we already know that Lola is the tracking device, and Lola's going into some wires to shut down any escape route from the base. And of course, our princess, what does she do? She goes running up the ladder to try and figure out how to fix it.
Well, they had to give her something to do.
You gotta love Leia. I mean, this is what Leia does.
But it also showcases how resourceful she will become as the princess.
But what I liked was the fact that Obi-Wan turns around and does what Obi-Wan does. We cannot escape. We must make a stand. This is not the first time we've seen Obi-Wan do this. We've seen him do this multiple times throughout the Clone Wars. We saw him do it in a couple of the different movies. Perfect example, Geonosis. They're all tied up with, dinosaur monsters coming after them, and he's still trying to figure out how to turn.
He came to rescue you. Good job.
Good job. Did you have a plan for getting out?
Right.
I think that's the only thing we're missing is some of that wonderful snark from Obi-Wan.
I think he's starting to climb out of his, his. What do you
Obi-Wan's mellowed.
He's very he's
out of his depression.
Sad depression. Yeah. Thank you for the word. I don't know why it was. I was like desperado, but that's not the word.
No, he's real. He's starting to realize. He's starting to realize that he can't run away.
No, he can't. He's starting to realize that, and he's starting to step back into the role of General Kenobi.
We saw him do that. He's the most experienced dude in the room.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has to take responsibility for that and step up, and he did that. Finally, he did that in this episode. So he's not just taking agency for his own actions, but he's starting to go like, hey, I look around at all these other people. They're not soldiers.
But they're fighting for something.
I've done this.
Right.
I've done this before. I know how to deal with this situation.
This is in my wheelhouse.
And so he steps up again. He's not a guy who cuts fish. He's a Jedi.
I think when it comes to the contrast between Obi-Wan and Anakin, it's that Anakin's always been kind of like the brute force. He's the action go-getter. And Obi-Wan's always been kind of the planner, thoughtful person. So even though Obi-Wan's really good, he can probably see your mistakes, but he's always been the planner. He's always been smart.
That's why.
And that showcases in this episode as well.
The big picture guy.
He's the big picture guy.
And of course, my favorite.
And calm and cool.
Calm, cool, and collected. Yes.
And peaceful.
He's always looking for a peaceful resolution.
Until he can't be any longer.
Yeah, like Steve said, Anakin is impulsive, a blunt instrument.
Exactly.
Good way of describing him.
And we got a little flashback between those two.
I liked it.
It was a really good flashback.
Duel. It was
really
good.
It
was the practice duel.
Now, one of the things I really appreciated was the fact that we have Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen now doing the flashback.
Yeah.
They de-aged them a little bit with makeup.
Not too
really
much,
the only flaw that I saw was Hayden is starting to look his age a little bit around his mouth.
And he didn't have the beard and stuff to kind of, disguise
I like Steve's, how he describes Obi-Wan.
Yes. Considerate, calculating, elegant.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, elegant. I mean, Obi-Wan, when he finally kills Grievous and he tosses, in episode 3 and he tosses the blaster away, he's like, how uncivilized. He's always complaining about how blasters are uncivilized. Doesn't mean he can't use them.
But he also complained about other people. He kind of also had this uppity feeling because he did, consider people like lower life forms sometimes, like Jar Jar Binks and even Anakin in the beginning. So he kind of looked down at people through his nose. But he's starting to go, oh no,
he's starting to realize the use of a good blaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, 2 episodes, blasters.
Yeah. But let's talk about that flashback. We get a scene of Coruscant back in the day. We get some good Jedi Temple action with them sparring and everything, and we get to see a touch of that
Vader.
Recklessness that turns Anakin into Vader, which I really enjoyed. We're starting to we know the story. We know Anakin falls to the dark side, this, that, and the other thing. We all know what's going to happen to that particular version of Anakin Skywalker. But now we're starting to actually get the story. We're starting to see more of how he went from young kid to Jedi Padawan to Jedi Knight and General of the New Republic of the Republican Army to Darth Vader. We're starting to see that shift.
And this is before he becomes Ahsoka's master.
Before he becomes Ahsoka's master, right? Before he and presumably before he and Padme marry. He still has his Padawan braid.
Yes.
Okay. I would say this is after. And the reason why I say that is because of the outfit that he was wearing. It's not.
That's true. He does. Yeah, he's got the black outfit on. Yeah.
But it's definitely before Ahsoka, so it's probably because I'm going to be guessing that Obi-Wan and Yoda and everybody was thinking maybe if we give him a Padawan, it will soften him up and make him less reckless because he's showing his recklessness here.
Don't they cover some of that in Clone Wars? One of the reasons why they gave him the Padawan. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched it.
It's kind of like that. It's like this is like the scene before he gets his Padawan,
right?
Because he's so aggressive, and they're hoping that maybe if they give him a Padawan, he'll be a little bit more careful and more thoughtful about what he's doing.
Right.
I didn't like Anakin in the movies. Not against Hayden Christensen or anything, but I really liked Anakin a lot in the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
And I thought that they wrote him better and they fleshed him out a lot better. He was a much more engaging, interesting character in the cartoon than he was in the movies. He was overplayed, I felt, in the movies. Now the third movie was the best of the 3, and obviously by that time you're getting he's going into his character arc. He's finishing his character arc, so he becomes a much more interesting character. But I think the Clone Wars did a great job of redeeming that character in my eyes. I fell in love that character. It made it more tragic,
right?
When he turns, because it's like, oh, I kind of he's I like that character. I like that guy.
Well, I think because of the Clone Wars, it gives more nuances. It's not just the Palpatine turns him, it's you actually see why he gets disillusioned with the Jedis, especially what happens to Ahsoka, you know, and then what's going on with him, his private, you know, relationship with Padme. So you start getting that development of why he turns, you know.
Right. I've told
Absolutely.
people over the years, okay, and Mariam's actually heard me say this. You need to look. You need to not look at how the character was acted on screen, because we talked about this last week, I believe. When you have no actor coaching on the set, when you're missing that and you're just handed, you know, the dialogue and everything, and you know, you're given a base description of the character, you're left kind of hanging out in the wind, and that's how I feel Hayden Christensen was left. I've seen him in other movies. He is a very good actor.
Look, there's, I mean, I can give you the definitive answer on this. We know Samuel L. Jackson is a good actor.
Right.
Liam Neeson, I believe, has won an Academy Award for being a good actor.
Yeah.
Okay. Ewan McGregor has also been nominated.
Fantastic actor.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman has won, I believe,
She won an Oscar for Black Swan.
Black Swan, yeah.
So you have great actors that are in that movie that are not acting great. So that falls to the director.
That falls to the director.
Yeah, it falls to the director. And even
so
Hayden
you have to give Hayden Christensen. What was the movie he was it Push?
No, not Push. Jumper.
He was great in Jumper.
He was great in Jumper. There's one that he was even better in. I'll tell you.
He got a raw deal.
Yeah,
he did. He got a raw deal, and you know, he did say when he was
I don't blame him for that at all.
When he was asked to come back as Vader, he found it to, you know, he found the offer to be a bit of a redemption for himself.
Sure,
to be able to come back in with some maturity.
He's getting
everything.
The writing is so bad. The writing and the directing, at least as far as the actor directing, is so much better here. It's like night and day.
I've told people, don't rag on Hayden Christensen.
No, that's not
fair. For doing
what he was directed to do.
Here's another thing. Think about it this way as well. It's like back then when they were all building this movie, they literally had nothing to act to. So it was blue screens.
Oh yeah.
Or Ahmed in a polka dotted shoot. They didn't have anything. So now what they have, now that they're filming everything in the volume that was brought in, that was introduced with the Mandalorian, every actor you talk to says it is amazing. It helps us get into the feel and get into it, and actually feel like you're that character. You're in that space.
There's two movies. If anybody wants to really see the type of actor that Hayden Christensen really is, there's a movie called Life is a House, which he did prior to Attack of the Clones. And then another one called Shattered Glass, which he did in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I highly recommend watching those movies because he filmed these around the same time he was filming Anakin. And you can see the difference in his acting. So for those people out there that want to rag on the character, want to rag on how the character, and this is not you, Dirk, the real naysayers out there, the fan holes, as we like to call them, Anakin's a horrible character. No, Anakin is not a horrible character. The character is fine. The direction Hayden Christensen was given playing the character is what the problem was.
And the dialogue was...
The dialogue was horrible. The dialogue was not fleshed out. Yeah.
I mean, it was just really bad.
Which is the same thing I can say with the sequels. It's like the actors are... Adam Driver... amazing actor.
Adam Driver's fantastic actor.
Also nominated for Academy Award.
Yeah, yes. So it's the directors, writers, everybody just totally trashing that.
Anakin is a little punk post-millennial that needs his ass paddled. Yeah, let's give him a kid to take care of.
Right.
Love it, Steve. Love it. Love it.
You know, J.J. Abrams is much better actor, director. In taken individually, like if they were just, you know, it was one and done, taken individually, those films, each of them had their own theme. They were exceptionally well produced. The actors, I believe, were directed correctly in it, and I think that in general, the dialogue was better than the stuff. The problem with the sequel trilogy is that they didn't have any direction, overall direction. They didn't know what they were going to do with the character, and they reinvented it each time. They let the director redo it each time.
Right.
And it's like, why is this if you're going to have a trilogy, you're setting it up as 3 movies, then the 3 movies should be connected by more than just,
have a vision.
I know.
Have a vision. Have a vision. They didn't have a vision. And they had no idea. And then when they're like, this looks like cool, let's do this to Snoke.
Right.
Oh shit, we just killed our main bad guy.
Yes.
Now we got to bring in a bad guy.
Pill in the middle of your movie trilogy also. Don't purposely hire someone who's there to sabotage everything that you established.
Right.
He should be developing things, not, reacting to the previous
and that's what happened.
Movies.
That's what happened.
But that's just going to show it's not the actor's fault. So quit trashing actors.
And plus where we are in the Star Wars timeline right now, I mean, we have all of this, layer upon layer, built layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. That was part of George Lucas's initial vision. Even this TV show, Lucas has had some say in, because they have gone back and consulted with George Lucas, to make sure that they're doing right by the characters.
Right.
They didn't have that in the last 3 movies, and that was a detriment to the movies. It really was.
Yeah.
But
while you've got him, you should probably, get his take on stuff.
Just don't let him direct. Just let him tell us his vision.
He is the God of this world. Okay, he is the God of this universe that we are playing in, that we are enjoying. He is the one that has, the focus. Even later. One of the things that, people came out and said about, all of the books that came out was, oh, well, George Lucas just approved anything. No, that's where they were wrong.
He was intimately involved.
Lucas was intimately involved in every single one of those
and
books.
Not all of that was great stuff, but he was aware of what was going on, and he said yay or nay on stuff.
Yeah, he handpicked where those book series went.
And he affected change in those things, like that character wouldn't do that, or that, that's no good, or let's try this instead. He was pulling the strings.
So I think that is shown with the Obi-Wan show. Yeah. That we're not straying too far who the core of these characters are.
Right.
Especially like with Leia. I mean, they're really pulling out who Leia was as a young child. And we as the viewers can relate and go, yeah, that is what Leia would possibly
that's
do.
How Leia would Leia would have done that. Leia would have jumped right in the middle of all this. And this is a young woman who at 18 years old goes and steals the Death Star.
So if she's 10 years old now, in 8 years she's going to be a senator. You kind of got to have her already moving forward in that direction.
Right.
So because how old was Padme when she was queen? 10?
No, Padme was 13 when she met Anakin.
Right. She was like 13 or 14. Yeah.
Okay, but she was elected queen probably I think when she was 10.
Something like
earlier.
that. Yeah. She'd been 10 for quite a few years. Yeah.
Vivian Lear
Blair is nailing everything about Leia. Yes, she is. And I can only imagine Carrie Fisher going somewhere.
and of course there's the bullying crusade out there to try and bully this little girl.
They
are.
Yeah.
What
online? There's.
Well, you know what they need to do? They need to
problem?
Keep those kids off.
It's just people who want to be,
because you don't need another person doing the Jake Lloyd route. We don't need any more of those.
No.
They got to be protected. All of those kids, all of the young
kids. It's more than just. It's been happening to more than just Jake Lloyd. I mean, it happened to the girl who played Tony Stark's daughter, and Endgame, and on and on and on.
They've tried to do it with Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
and Millie Bobby Brown was like, "No, screw you."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that takes a very special disposition from that person.
And I feel like Vivian Lyra Blair is probably one of them that's going to be
okay, but You know, like if you're on the internet, someone hates you for some reason. You know, people have their own issues that they're going to. You have to, you know, there's a block button, and I use it judiciously. I love it. I get a thrill every time that I get to block someone and eliminate them from my life forever. It's a wonderful thing. I don't argue with people. I dust them like Thanos. They are just gone.
Dust them like
goodbye.
Bye-bye. I see Dirk doing this, holding up his phone and going, "Oh yeah."
My favorite. My favorite on.
I don't honor them with my presence.
My favorite on Facebook is to just hit unfollow because they still know that I'm there, but I'm not reacting to anything that they do.
I've been doing that a lot lately.
I want to say this. You mentioned Millie Bobby Brown. Did you see her dressed up as Leia?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And who was the other girl that was with her? She was dressed as
she plays Max. She was dressed up as Rey.
Yeah.
Which I thought both of those were perfect. They were perfect.
Pretty awesome. I mean, we mentioned some time ago, even while Carrie Fisher was alive, I believe someone suggested that she could play a younger version of Leia. Now she's probably about Leia's age.
Probably.
I mean, she could still play, you know, whatever. You could still have her play that character again. But wow, she's a great version of Leia as far as I'm concerned. And she has the personality to really pull that off too if they want to go to that.
But we need
I agree with that, Steve.
Yeah.
Do not go after children. No.
And Steve is right here too. It's too easy to be anonymous on the internet and be stupid thinking that you are protected because nobody knows who you are. You know what? Somebody knows who you are out there.
Yeah.
And young lady with Sadie Sink, by the way.
It's a little you know, jealousy and also just flat out dickery. So you know, there's just some people who just enjoy.
They just want to be a troll just for the fun of watching people get wound up.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've had that in the Farscape world, remember?
Oh, we've had that in quite a few different places.
Ooh, let's talk about Farscape.
Yeah, because that's the way that was. I love Farscape.
I do too.
That's how it's met.
Oh my God.
That's how
this could be the Farscape podcast as far as I'm concerned.
I think that's what our in between shows is going to be. We're gonna do
we need to do Farscape, guys.
Oh, I just watched the first episode about a week ago.
Yeah,
I literally just watched the first episode.
So
we get to go see talent.
I'm gonna say let's hold off on the. I'm gonna say let's hold off on the Farscape because we've gone way off on a tangent.
Sorry, so far off. We're
always off on a tangent. That's half the fun of this.
We're 18 million light years off the subject.
All right, let's reel this back in.
Let's reel this back in.
All right, so we are in a hidden base on, I believe the planet is called. We're on Jabim. We're on Jabim,
which was part of Clone Wars.
Jabim was part of Clone Wars, but it's also a little more well known. Believe it or not, from the sequels. Scary thought.
Yeah.
Jabim is.
What was it in the sequels?
One of the first.
First Order.
Yeah, one of the first order bases and planets.
Like where they came out and they had all the soldiers lined up and stuff, and they were doing the speech.
Yeah,
that was Jabim.
That wasn't Jabim.
No, that wasn't Jabim. But we've seen Jabim in the movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think it was in Clone Wars too.
Yeah. So sorry. So we see them basically lock down the base, and we see Reva trying to get in. And she comments that she wants to talk to Obi-Wan. So this is where we actually learn that Reva was one of the Padawans that we saw in the very first shot of the very first episode.
Yeah. And also
Obi-Wan picks up immediately that not as all as it seems.
Yeah.
And also in that little flashback, we got what if you all paid attention to the very beginning, up in that upper left-hand corner, we got the warning that some of these things may be a little bit disturbing.
Yeah, I was wondering. That's a good point. I was wondering. It's like, what are they going to show me here?
They showed Anakin striking down one of the younglings. And when that happened,
he does at the end of the episode also was pretty, graphic.
Yeah.
It's just driving home that Anakin as Vader is ruthless.
Is not.
Yes.
He is.
He is
not an a-hole.
Nice
and he is not playing
guy.
around.
He is not a nice guy.
That's why I'm like,
I feel
is
strongly
Reva going to survive this?
Right. I feel strongly that they are redeeming Darth Vader with this new stuff. I mean,
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just think that we had kind of Darth Vader had been softened after 40 years of seeing other people try to, do their own version of Darth Vader or whatever. And, his greatest moments were in Star Wars, which was again from 1977. And some of the stuff that he does in there, people have done since then. It's not so scary. Well, now, we're updating his atrocities, for modern eyes. And so we're getting to see just how cruel and ruthless and badass that guy is. And I think that's a good thing.
Remember this is also an Anakin Skywalker that's only 10 years into being into that suit.
Right.
It's a man that is still angry.
Super.
Oh, he is
super angry. And he doesn't care. He has not been tempered by dealing with the Empire yet. Right now Palpatine's basically letting him off the chain.
Yeah.
He's off his leash while he's hunting down Jedi. The Empire itself isn't quite what we know of it come Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Okay, so this is a very different Darth Vader. By the time we meet him in A New Hope, he has been tempered. He has learned to play the long game. This is not a man that's playing the long game right now. So he is just a nasty piece of work.
Right. Yeah. But it's also showing him in his manipulation.
Right.
Because you remember in the beginning with Reva, and he makes her the Grand Inquisitor.
Yes.
Right.
But it's kind of, you knew it was very half-hearted. It wasn't, because she was even like, wait, what? And it was like all of a sudden, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm getting closer to her goal, which we learn what it is. But Vader is onto her game.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we've seen Vader play this game before. Okay, we've seen him play this game before.
Oh, yes, and it's front and center in display right now.
Right.
Empire Strikes Back in Cloud City, when Boba Fett turns around and Boba Fett and Lando Calrissian turn around and look at him. When he says, take the princess to my ship, and Lando Calrissian goes, that's not what we agreed. That's not what we agreed upon. And Vader looks at him and goes,
pray. Don't alter it any further.
Pray I don't alter it any further. Vader has played this game before. And this is just the beginning of him playing the manipulation game.
So he's Elon Musk.
I have a question for everyone.
How are you coming up with he's Elon Musk? Really? Come on.
I have a question, because I see, and I don't read these articles, but online I see this stuff about how the Obi-Wan series is non-canon. Like there are things that are happening which are messing up the status quo with
there
the Star
is
Wars
not
stuff.
a
Is there anything in here that
no.
I mean, did I miss
it's not
something?
messing up any canon.
This is not messing up any canon whatsoever.
I haven't seen anything yet either.
Yeah. The people that are coming out and saying this, number one,
fan holes.
Number two, educate yourself. Go back and watch the movies. Learn the movies. You watch them until you can recite them in your sleep, and then come back and try and tell us that this isn't canon. Okay.
Right.
I don't know the prequels as well as I know the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But
Same
I
here.
haven't seen anything that messes up the original trilogy.
I haven't either.
And I know that shit
nothing
backwards.
And as a
forwards,
matter of fact, I think Leia knows he's Obi-Wan.
And now,
but now, and I think she's starting to see the whole where people are calling him General. So when you see her in A New Hope talking about General Kenobi,
you helped my father during the Clone Wars.
Right.
Okay. Everybody's like, well, then if she's saying that you served my father in the Clone Wars and now I'm begging you, blah 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 blah. Well, then how she couldn't have met him. Really?
That's just her being
What
formal.
30-second message you're going to leave in a droid while you're being fired at an Imperials? Okay,
because you know what?
You
Maybe
don't have
she's
time.
like, maybe Obi-Wan doesn't remember me as a kid, but he'll remember my dad.
Yeah, and honestly, you got 10 seconds to make an elevator pitch to get his help before you got to send your droid off to a desert planet, and keep yourself from being captured by Imperials. Okay.
Also, keep in mind at that point, she is a senator in the Republic Senate.
Yes.
And so she is speaking to him formally. She is giving
She's very formal in her speech.
Very formal addressed story. I'm pretty sure she knows that he knows that who she is.
Yeah.
But
and so she's being super respectful.
Messing up canon here.
I say again that there is going to have to. We got one more episode. I say again, there's going to have to be something that gets Darth Vader off her tail, because eventually she's going to go back home and hang out there. And if Vader thinks if I go mess with her, I'm going to get Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's going to be over there every other week. So there has to be something that happens that gets him off of that.
Right. Well, does he know it's Leia? I don't think he has any idea it's Leia. That he's just he's singularly focused on Obi-Wan.
He is. That's true.
Right. I don't think at this point. I'm going to bet that throughout this whole series, Vader is not going to learn about either of them. Because personally, I don't think Vader learns about Luke until after he destroys the Death Star, when a Skywalker becomes a hero of the rebellion.
Okay, so one of the things people are complaining about it being canon getting messed up is the death of the Grand Inquisitor. So
oops,
that is. but here's the thing.
He's not dead.
The Grand Inquisitor and most of the Inquisitors were part of a video game series. Now, while the base story of the video games can be considered canon, gameplay cannot be considered canon, because gameplay varies from person to person. I could play the game differently than Walt would play it, differently than Dirk would play it, differently than Mariam would play it. So there is nothing.
I would just die and never make it any further.
And let's also respect the fact that the Grand Inquisitor is in the first season of Rebels. So
yeah, exactly. And
he not dead.
Yeah, they're talking about the Grand Inquisitor falling.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler
alert.
He's not dead.
Not dead.
He's not dead.
Which we talked about. I was like, is he dead? I don't think so.
No.
And you guys are like, no body. He not.
I mean, if they're ashes, they're dead. If they're not ashes,
if they're falling down a pipe in two pieces, not dead.
Not dead.
Not good enough. Not dead enough.
If you've been sliced and diced by a lightsaber, that wound has been cauterized.
What about the
already,
Emperor?
okay?
The Emperor got bug zapped in the new Death Star.
Well, he bug zapped himself of all things.
Okay.
And it blew up.
He bug zapped himself.
And it blew up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And blowed up real good.
Still alive.
Still alive. Irks my.
But to the non-canon story, the now non-canon stories, that energy that we saw from the explosion, that was his force releasing to go into his clone. So that's one thing that they kept from that. So
yes, yeah, that was one of those little things.
There's just so many ways that you can explain. Look, in science fiction and fantasy, there's you're not dead unless they need you to be dead.
Oh, we know about killing characters over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Comics. I mean,
if you're a Marvel fan, you know all about this.
You're not even say Dean Winchester's been killed over 100 times since 15 years of Supernatural.
You're not even dead in soap operas.
Yeah.
You're just probably being replaced by another actor.
You're just in a soap opera, you're just replaced by another actor.
Everybody is Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Everybody is Doctor Who.
But we knew the Grand Inquisitor, spoiler, comes back.
Right. Which he does, and he comes back in
grand
very good
fashion.
Yes, he does.
Totally surprises Rhea.
But we got to build up to that part.
Oh yes, okay.
Yes.
So.
But anyways, Vader makes her Grand Inquisitor. That's an
Right.
important aspect with
Yeah.
her feeling like she's getting closer to her goal, which leads us into that conversation with her and Obi-Wan.
Right.
Which there's an interesting part of that conversation that I'm sitting here going, She says that she lays down and plays dead with the other Padawans. How did she miss getting sliced at all?
But later on, we find out that she didn't.
Mm-hmm. So she's playing both ends against the middle here with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Little sneaky thing.
Yeah.
She's got an axe to grind with Vader, and she's got an axe to grind with the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she could make a case that she was left out to dry by the Jedi.
Right.
She says to Obi-Wan straight out. She says to Obi-Wan straight out, "Where were you?
Where were you?
Why didn't you come and help us?"
Right.
Okay. To be fair, Obi-Wan was on the other side of the freaking galaxy fighting Grievous.
I mean, Obi-Wan, it wasn't specifically his fault.
Yeah. But he and Yoda did come back to the Citadel to clean out the rest of the clones.
Yep.
So, she may have seen him and Yoda walk past and they never even noticed.
Or it was one of those things where Obi-Wan and Anakin went everywhere together up until they were sent in two different directions. Anakin to stay on Coruscant with the Jedi to try and find, the Sith Lord, and Obi-Wan to go after Grievous. So, she's a young Padawan getting her training and everything, presumably Padawans wouldn't know which Jedi is being sent where. So maybe she thought,
but you think about it from that age.
Or you see Anakin, well, where's Obi-Wan? Where's your master? Why isn't your master with you?
But like I said, afterwards, after all that, Yoda and Obi-Wan did come back to the Citadel to find out what was going on. So she may have been lying, playing dead or something, and they never noticed.
They never even realized it. They never saw it. She didn't reveal herself.
But or the other thing is that you got to think of the mind of her at that age. They don't really understand fully what's going on. They can't process things like an adult. Yeah. So she sees a person she trusts cut down her friends, Anakin. Yeah. She immediately goes, Obi-Wan is always with Anakin. So she puts blame on Obi-Wan for not stopping him.
For not stopping Anakin.
And then she blames all the Jedi for not rescuing her. Now, she
abandoning her.
Right. So she may have escaped the first takedown, right? But she probably ran and hid. She could have ran out of the temple. But then, instead, and then she probably went in and Vader knew that he was using her. So that was probably why he had such a keen interest in her, because she was singularly focused on Obi-Wan, and it appears he had that same focus. So he was using her to get where he wanted.
Yeah, he took her under his wing and turned her into an Inquisitor.
Yes.
We also know that.
Well, actually, her focus was twofold. Her focus was mainly on, and we'll find this out later, her focus was mainly on Vader.
On Vader.
Oh, yeah. No, she was. Yeah. It absolutely was. That's why he said, do you think I was a fool?
Right.
Yep.
I know what your motivations were always, but but now that you're no use to me, and that's when he threw her off.
Right.
Okay, so let's not jump to the end quite yet, because we've got some machinations in between. Wham on you, sissy. Wipe that off. Stop. We have some machinations in between, okay? Because the conversation between Obi-Wan and Reva sets up that final confrontation between Reva and Vader at the end. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, we have all these people, who have been helping the Jedi trying to get out of the base, while we've got Vader circling above and Reva and her troops chasing after them. Mm-hmm. And in one of the fights, we see Tala get shot.
Yeah.
So much for the idea of her going and teaching Leia how to shoot.
Yeah. There had to be a tragedy in this.
There had to be a tragedy somewhere. Yes.
At least we still have O'Shea.
It kind of like brings me
still
one with the droid and the
yeah.
Seeing her being held by the droid, and then she reveals that she's holding basically a thermal detonator, and we know how nasty those things are. We've seen those before.
I got my wish. I wanted to see that droid do more stuff, and I got that.
Well, yeah, we did get that.
And I also I liked Tala quite a bit. That's a character that would have been cool to see her in other stuff. She's probably gone.
That's
I think
she's probably gone.
That's a motivation too. Her death is
certainly
a motivation.
Yeah.
And I want to, on a side note, I want to see the behind the scenes with O'Shea being asked, "What weapon do you want?"
We'll get it. We will get it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Because
we'll get it.
Because you noticed that he was with a laser crossbow, and I would say even more different. It only had 2 shots, and it looked like it was a double barrel laser crossbow.
Yeah.
So I want to see that conversation between. O'Shea,
he's been really good too, by the way.
He's a good actor.
We haven't talked about him much, but he's been really good in this.
I hope that we see I bet you they'll do a gallery just like they did for Book of Boba Fett. They did it for Mandalorian. We'll get a gallery for.
Oh yeah,
for
definitely.
So, what's y'all's opinion of the box lightsabers?
I don't know where that came from.
My opinion is probably, if you recall, O'Shea's character said that he was married to a Jedi.
Yeah.
And I'm probably guessing, like Obi-Wan, they hid them so that whenever they were out and about, they wouldn't want to be caught with one.
Yeah, it's like
that's what I was thinking too. But
it's like wearing a badge,
right?
When the bad guys come into town and you
that
don't
kyber crystal,
they look like they're
like
trouble.
A beacon.
You take your badge off, so that you can slink into the crowd.
Right.
I mean that lightsaber is your badge,
right?
And if you've got it, you're a target,
right?
Well, and like Obi-Wan said in the very beginning, bury the lightsaber because I bet you the kyber crystals literally are like a beacon.
Yeah.
I wish I could have. I tried to pause that scene to look at it, and it was very hard to. But I would love a still shot of that scene to see.
Were you trying to identify who's?
I wanted to see if we could recognize any of the lightsabers.
I'm pretty sure somebody out there is doing
that out. Someone has that in.
That's
8K definition somewhere.
And
then pick that apart. I guarantee you someone spent the 8 hours to figure out whose damn lightsabers those are.
Yeah.
Yes,
because that's just the way that the crowd is. What is that? Is that a kyber crystal?
That's a kyber crystal.
Kyber crystal.
That's a red kyber crystal. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a Vader one.
Yes.
A Sith Lord kyber crystal.
And they do fun things in these things.
Oh, it's at a holocron.
It is.
I've never seen those before. That's cool.
My armor hides a ruined
that's a Sith holocron, I do believe, right?
Matter.
Yes, both of them.
That is cool.
This is Darth Vader.
In the Force, I burn brightly.
The holocrons, which comes in play.
Yeah, it came in play in the last trilogy, and the holocrons are really important in Rebels.
I have 3. I have Mace Windu's, I have Darth Vader's, and I have Yoda. Is Yoda the other one?
I don't know. I gave you a bunch.
You gave me 2.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place.
We were speaking about the message that was left in the Citadel. But yes, I think this is right on that point that the kyber crystals are like a beacon.
Yes.
So
I think that's the reason why Obi-Wan was like, bury him.
Yeah.
And get away from
but,
them. Bury
you
them
know,
and get away.
Seeing that many lightsabers also shows how successful Tala and the group have been in smuggling Jedi out of there. We also see another wall that's been inscribed by Jedi.
And maybe that's the ultimate answer there, is they're just demonstrating how many Jedi's been through that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting shot, seeing all of these lightsabers in a box.
Yeah.
That tells you how many lightsabers there are, because I mean, isn't there a comic that shows that the clone troopers gathered all the lightsabers of the Jedi they killed and
they did
incinerate them in one of the comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah,
I don't remember.
I just figure, you just gotta, if you're going to try and hide from the Inquisitors and the Empire, you don't want to be caught
ditch
with
the lightsaber.
You want to ditch it. Now, for those who are keeping them, that makes a target on them, because they're like, they'll be like, where did you get this? I found it. And where are they now? So
right.
That's just me.
So anyways, Rhea, her little conversation with Obi-Wan sets up
Reva,
the ending. Reva, it sets up where we're heading.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man. So you really kind of felt bad for her, and you could understand where she was coming from.
I didn't feel bad for her.
No.
But then again, I'm the one that's sitting there as we see Vader finally show up after the little conversation and sweep into the base. Cape billowing as always.
Yes.
Because you gotta.
But the thing is that you understand where she's coming from.
Oh, definitely.
It's not like just some out of left field. Like, well, that's why. Okay.
She's not just evil for the sake of being evil.
Right. She's not evil for the sake of being.
Will
evil.
she be redeemable? Well, the ending, we have to get there because of what she's discovered at the end.
Well, let's get there first. So we see Vader come through, and Leia gets the roof open, and we see the ship starting to take off, and we're thinking, "Oh, great! Our heroes get away!" And then we get
so fast.
We get Vader force grabbing the ship.
Vader force grabbing the ship.
And how many of us?
And anybody who's played the video games for Star Force Unleashed, we're like, woohoo!
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just like, yeah.
I'm with Walt. I'm sitting there like,
and my cousin's voice was running through my head again. That's a bad dude.
Yeah. That's a bad.
Yeah, and unlike Kylo Ren, he brings the thing right back down. He's like,
oh yeah, and he tears it to pieces.
Yeah.
So let's stop and think about where Anakin's strength was at the end of Revenge of the Sith. We know that, he force chokes Padme. Okay, great. We see him and Obi-Wan fighting through lava and everything else. Okay. But this is the first time we have seen Vader with this kind of force ability.
That's rage.
That is full-blown rage.
That's not anger. That's rage.
That is rage.
That's right. He hates Obi-Wan.
He hates Obi-Wan. And he's bound and determined to take Obi-Wan down. End of sentence.
Right. Because there's it's immeasurable.
He's so well. If you had 2 legs and an arm chopped off by the person you trusted most, you'd be pretty pissed off too.
But his rage goes deeper than that.
Oh, I know.
His rage was
he used to complain to Padme that he feels like he's being held back.
He's being held back. Yeah. Obi-Wan is holding me back. And we see we see a little bit of that conversation touched on in the flashback scenes.
Right.
Certainly.
Some of the things that Obi-Wan is saying to him,
You can tell Obi-Wan's trying to tell him, look, you're too focused on
winning.
The end result. The end result
and winning.
And just getting there. And not thinking about the other things that are happening around you. He's hyper focused on winning. and thinking that winning is the end all of end alls. So,
well, we see him jump
He
out.
kind of has like obsessive compulsive disorder.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
We see him jump out of Padme's window going after the assassin.
Yeah.
Without any regard to his own safety. Yeah, well, even as a child, I mean, this kid's racing in a pod race, and pod races are
singularly
dangerous.
Focused, and that's all.
Yeah.
That's what drives him.
Yep.
So when he gets something in his head, when he gets focused on something, you might as well. It's like moving a mountain. You're not going to do it.
But that's also the reason why he fails.
That's also why he falls. Because his singular focus, which causes him to fall to the dark side, is saving Padme from a dream that he had where she dies in childbirth. Now, if he had just left it alone, she would have been fine, because we all know how Padme died.
That's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. And Vader is very good at self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah.
And by the way, we've taken a lot of shots at George Lucas. He came up with that plot. I mean, he set up the self-fulfilling prophecy and the character arc and everything else. That's what he did right, and what they missed. I keep going back to the sequels. That's what they missed in the sequels, was having that, having the world building and the plot and all that, the overarching thing. That's what they were missing. That's one thing that Lucas did do right.
Yeah.
Right. That's also, like I said, the other thing that I really loved about the Obi-Wan series is when Obi-Wan and Leia a couple episodes back was sitting in the transport, and they were talking about the memories as they were as children. And that kind of helps tie it forward into when, Return of the Jedi, when Luke was asking Leia, what do you remember of our mother? So that helps tie that and explains why, because that was a big contention when, when Padme dies and everybody's like, well, how can Leia remember? Well, now that they're showing that it's a possibility with Force, because Obi-Wan says, I remember. And, so now it kind of explains that.
And it's a known fact that some people do have some memories of those times. So, I mean, I have a few of my own. So
you can literally hand wave anything with the Force, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
true.
You can explain.
But when you create a plot hole, at least explain why, so that it helps.
Right.
But yeah, so all right, so we're back to Reva?
Not yet.
Okay. Where are we, sis?
Leia's comment to Luke was that
you're talking
Leia's comment to Luke in Return of the Jedi is that she remembers that she remembered her mother died when she was very young, but she was very beautiful, kind but sad.
Right. Leia was first.
No.
Was Luke first or Leia?
You just spoiled something for Steve.
I don't remember.
Shank,
I don't remember.
You knew that.
Oh, Steve, you were right there by my side when we saw that movie.
Wait, she died? No, she just went to sleep.
She just went to sleep, Steve.
That's right.
It's just a nap. A dirt nap, but it's a nap.
Long nap.
Really long nap. With
are,
flowers.
A dirt nap.
People are, they're questioning that was retcon.
Ooh, Dirt Nap would be a really great band name.
It would be. I agree. That would be.
I'm still stuck on Croissant 14.
Also good.
It's the name of one of the nuclear missiles from North Korea.
Croissant 14.
Croissant.
What?
Croissant.
Croissant?
Croissant.
I like the croissant. 14.
The croissant. 14 croissant.
Yes. Attack people with croissant.
Croissant.
What was your point, sis?
There's a couple of different theories that have been out there, and if you roll into the book Children of the Jedi by Barbara Hambly, there's comments that Leia makes that she was raised quite a bit by her aunts, that her mother, meaning Brea Organa, died when she was young. So there's a possibility that even at 10 years old, she loses Brea. And 10's pretty young to lose a parent. So
that doesn't really make sense because she knows Brea is not her.
She
real
knows
mom.
Brea is her adopted mother, but at the same time, what she remembers of Brea, we all know how memories work. Memories could get shifted, and maybe she's talking about both. Maybe she has been told by Bail since she knows that she's adopted. Maybe Bail has told her about Padme, and the impression that she's getting of Padme when she makes that comment to Luke is from what she learned from her step-parents. So there's a lot of different ways the whole thing can be interpreted. It's not necessarily that they're breaking canon. It's just interpreted differently.
I'm going to stick with she actually remembers.
Yeah, there's a good possibility that she could.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with she actually remembers because I kid you not, I have memories from when I was 6 months old. So
I vaguely remember being held by my great grandmother, and my sister's like, that's not possible. I think she only ever met you one time. I said, yes, and I can remember it, and I can describe the entire scene to you. And when I described it to my sister, she was like, okay, maybe you're right. So yes, there is a possibility that she impressions. Okay, she comes out of the womb, her mother is crying, she seems sad. But, she makes the comment to Obi-Wan, there's still good in him, which can show her kindness.
Right.
So.
But she was also sad at that moment.
But she was also sad, yeah. So
it makes sense to me.
Moving on. Just one of those things. Sorry.
Nice tangent there, sis.
You started it. Sorry.
Sorry.
And again, we can also use the excuse, Leia's force sensitive. Boom. There you go.
But that they were inferring that she is throughout this whole series.
Yeah.
But even though it's very subtle, they'll never call it out until obviously Return of the Jedi.
So we know that Obi-Wan and O'Shea and Leia get away.
Yep.
Now let's talk about Reva and Vader.
Yeah.
Vader's focused on taking down the ship. He sees the other ship escape, and that's when Reva pounces. If you want to call it a pouncing.
Or tries.
She tries to sneak up. You don't sneak up on Vader. It's just not possible.
Nope.
Well, but all of this was foreshadowed so many ways.
Yep.
Because even she told Obi-Wan, what makes you think he doesn't already know? So, when she tries to get Vader and Vader says he was wise to try to use you against me. And if you look at that, if you pay attention to that, all three of them have been using each other. We're using each other in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild because it all goes back to that flashback of Obi-Wan's training, which I can argue, good argument that that's not only Obi-Wan's flashback. It's also
Anakin's. Yeah.
Well,
both of them are having
it was
that.
Mostly Anakin's.
I'm gonna say that both of them have been thinking the same thing throughout the whole thing.
Brothers,
which could also explain why Anakin does look older.
Right.
He's remembering a time in his life where he was training, but yet we see him as he would be now if he wasn't in the suit.
Right. So I'm going to say it's a shared flashback because how this whole thing ends, it's if you see how that training session went, Anakin disarmed Obi-Wan from his lightsaber.
Obi-Wan kept fighting.
And he said, "You've lost your weapon. This fight is over." And then Obi-Wan proceeded to unarm him without a weapon.
There are other alternatives to fighting.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So if it was solely Anakin wouldn't continue into his defeat because he's all about winning.
Right. Right.
Thanks for sticking around, Steve. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
See you later,
Steve.
man.
Bye, Steve.
Aww, we make it impossible to dispute our points.
Yeah.
So in a way, Obi-Wan used that strategy to get at Darth Vader, and Darth Vader used that strategy to get at Reva.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I said, I think in the very, very beginning that from the first 2 episodes, where I was like, Reva is like Anakin in so many ways.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah, she's got the anger. She's got the
Definitely.
anger.
And she's got the singular focus, and her focus makes her blind, and she did not see anything that happened coming because she was not heeding everybody's warnings when they told her he knows. And then when it was flat out told to her, you think you could deceive me? No. Right.
So he was using her the whole time, which, that's really not so much of a spoiler for any.
Well, it makes me wonder, did the Grand Inquisitor, was he in on it, or was he just gleeful? I survived. I got my title back.
No, because when we do see the Grand Inquisitor come up, he says revenge is a great motivator to survive. And
like he's kind of telling her, you can live this like gut-wrenching thing through your gut.
Well, the thing is, that's what kept her alive, is her anger and her need for revenge, which is the same thing that kept him alive after she stuck him. And if you go back even further into the Clone Wars, it's what kept Darth Maul alive.
Yep.
Right.
So their hatred and revenge is what keeps them going. But
the dark side of the Force is very strong. That's and we've seen that throughout everything.
The only thing is that there's a price to pay.
Mm-hmm.
You pay a heavy price for that. Like, for instance, you can see the super heavy price that Darth Vader has made. He lost Padme. He lost all 4 of his arms and legs, all 4 limbs. He's burned through, 100% of his body. And he's totally angry with revenge. And each time it takes its toll.
It takes a toll.
That hatred comes at a severe cost.
I absolutely agree. Yep.
Whereas, you see, the Jedi is like, oh, I lost, but I've ascended to a higher plane. Look at me. Check me out. I'm a Force ghost now. Ta-da.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, my God. If Qui-Gon doesn't show up, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do.
Yeah, I really want that moment, too.
Yeah, we've got 1 episode left.
We got 1 episode left. I'm like,
they set it
can't
up.
just constantly say his name, and he never shows up.
They've set it up, and if it's anything like what happened in what was supposed to have been the final season of Clone Wars with Yoda speaking to Qui-Gon, I got a feeling it's going to have that kind of effect.
Yeah, it'll be like the last 10-15 minutes of the last episode.
Yeah,
it'll be setting up something.
But one thing we haven't talked about before we go any further, since we're still on Reva turning on Darth Vader, how cool was it to see Darth Vader wielding 2 lightsabers?
Oh my God! Yeah.
Actually,
do not mess.
Not only that, he did to Reva what.
Hey, Ginge.
Hey, what's up, Ginge? He did to Reva what Obi-Wan did to him in that flashback by not even using a weapon at all.
I'm sitting there going, "Are we going to see another Count Dooku incident?" Honestly, I was waiting for it. I wanted it. I wanted to see I wanted to see Reva's head roll.
Final.
Yeah,
that feels more final when you.
I don't want her dead yet.
Cross those blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels much more final.
Yeah. When she went down to her knees, I'm going. I was like,
he of all people should understand stabbing someone, in the guts or whatever, and then walking away is not dead enough.
So
yeah, but again,
there's something going on.
He's playing her.
Yeah,
is he?
playing her heart.
Is that part of it too?
Definitely. Definitely.
He's like, to me, what happened in that scene was like, let this be a lesson to you.
Exactly. Because we all know also, when it comes to the Sith, the only way you really rise up the ranks is if you kill the person above you. So
to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Right.
So I really felt like that was a warning. That was
that was a lesson.
That was a big lesson.
There has to be something more coming between Reva and Vader, simply because letting her live is out of character for Vader.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I say, is she going to be the first to survive?
I'm sitting there going,
because Inquisitors, when he's done with somebody, with an Inquisitor, they're gone.
Doesn't matter if you're
no Inquisitors survived.
This is a man that we just watched a few episodes back walk through a village, killing innocent
bystanders,
children and bystanders as he went.
Snapping necks, writing checks.
Yep.
Yeah, snapping necks, writing checks. I gotta remember that. I like that.
He's not done with her. That was a lesson.
This is a character that we have seen strike down younglings. Now, more than one time, we've seen him actually do this. Okay, so now we know of at least 2 groups of younglings that Anakin struck down. Okay,
right.
Why did he leave Reva alive if he did not have plans for her? He is using her to get to Obi-Wan.
Grooming.
Yeah,
grooming. You're right.
Grooming. Yeah,
grooming.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's a popular phrase these days.
It is.
Would have been dead. End of sentence.
No, I mean, wouldn't it be interesting that Reva he is like talking about grooming and stuff? This is where, and if Starkiller actually somehow magically becomes canon and out of the video game, you can kind of see he's like honing his abilities to create a Starkiller.
I mean, often Darth Vader has been shown kind of creating his own armies and creating machinations behind the scenes that are extracurricular and stuff. He may be creating his own little monster to send out to do his bidding and stuff in Reva.
So the only reason to keep her alive then at this point would be you've betrayed me once. What's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Right.
This is the shame on you part.
Right.
I like in that scene where he's not using any swords or anything. He's just
using the force,
dodging the stuff and stopping the blades. And it's like, you are way outclassed here.
Right.
Yeah. It's like he looks at her like a gnat.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
She's just an inconvenience. She's got sharp toys, but I'll just disarm her.
I'm sitting there going, Reva, what are you doing? You are not ready for this fight.
Because she's got the same problem as Anakin. Yep. She's too focused that she doesn't see her failing.
Right.
When he becomes Darth Vader, who defeats him? Who defeated Darth Vader? Even Luke didn't defeat Darth Vader.
Right.
Anakin defeated Darth Vader.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Anakin defeated Darth Vader.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, Luke had the ability to beat him.
He was right there.
And
he could have.
He
said
but
no.
The only thing that would have done that is if he crossed over to the dark side. That was the only thing that would have allowed him to do that. But he's the only person who has ever been shown to beat Darth Vader.
Right.
His Anakin.
His own son.
Takes his lightsaber, throws it aside, and looks at the Emperor.
Well, technically speaking, Obi-Wan beat. Well, Obi-Wan didn't beat Vader. He beat Anakin. No, he did beat Vader on Mustafar. He cut his arms and legs off.
Right.
But he didn't kill him.
No, he beat Vader. He didn't defeat Anakin. He defeated Vader.
Defeated Vader. But you were just asking who defeated Vader.
Anakin defeated Vader.
And ultimately, in the end. Ultimately, in the end, yes.
In the end. At the very end. Okay, so Ginge brings it up. Ginge brings it up. Anakin is actually the chosen one, not Luke.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
That's why Anakin killed Palpatine and not Luke.
Right.
In Return of the Jedi, the very last scene says, to bring balance as the prophecy foretold. In the very last, to answer the question, who killed Darth Vader? Meaning, killed, done, adios.
Anakin.
In that respect, you are absolutely correct. Anakin defeats Darth Vader. He's the only one that could. Because
the Emperor is trying to get him.
If you're talking about battles and anybody who could defeat Vader, actually Obi-Wan defeated Vader.
Yes, in battles, yes. But overall, overarching, to bring balance to the Force and fulfill the prophecy.
Well, yeah, that's the ultimate thing. But
Return of the Jedi.
Obi-Wan did beat Vader.
That was how I took the question.
I am vouching for Obi-Wan, by the way.
I'm going to vouch for
Luke.
When are
you not?
Because I'm going to vouch for Luke because Luke showed his love for his father, which brought Anakin back.
He throws his lightsaber aside. He looks at the Emperor and he says, "I am a Jedi."
Luke showed Vader that there is another way.
Right. Yeah. But Luke always believed there was good in him. And that is why Palpatine, when he throws his lightsaber away, Palpatine attacks Luke. And then Anakin is standing there going, "Oh crap, this old fart's attacking my son, who still believes there's good in me. I've been a dunce all these years. What am I doing?"
Not a dunce. I'm just going to flat out say I've been an asshole. He's been an asshole.
In a very strange way. Yeah, in a very strange way, Obi-Wan always tried to teach him.
Right.
It's not, there's always another way. Don't always use brute force. But Anakin never listened to Obi-Wan. Even as Vader never listened to Obi-Wan. Obviously, it was shown again. But Luke, he finally listened. There is another way.
Yes. And what does he do? We see him pick up Palpatine. And he's absorbing all of the Force lightning. And he throws Palpatine over into the reactor of the Death Star. And all that Force lightning that he's absorbed has pretty much shot every electronic keeping him alive. Anakin knew in that moment by saving his son, he was killing himself.
Yep.
And that is how he defeated Darth Vader.
Oh, look at all these people.
Can you guys tell that Mariam and I have talked this out quite a few times?
I've talked it out before too, because you and I have
had quite a few of these conversations too.
Yeah, it's definitely Anakin's the one who defeated Darth Vader. Yeah. Well, he defeated his own personal demons, basically.
Brian James is here singing y'all's praises again, boys.
Awesome.
Brian, if you're a dad, happy Father's Day.
Yes. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
All the dads.
He's the dad to some lovely dogs and kitties.
Dad, if you're watching, you better be watching. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Happy Father's Day. I'll be talking to you soon.
I saw a white possum last night.
You saw what? Your possum encounter? I
saw a white possum. It came right over to me. It was the craziest damn thing I've ever seen.
Was it about this big? Was it about this big?
Not that big.
That's an adult. That's a full-grown adult.
Nice.
With a long tail and the whole thing. But
we don't have those here.
It was dark. I saw a black cat out there, and the cat was just standing there. It didn't move at all. And then I thought, is there something else out there? And then it's like, it's another white cat. And so I'm talking to both of them, like, hey, how are you guys doing here this evening? Blah, 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 like I always do with animals. And the white cat started walking toward me. And when it got about 3 feet away, it's like, oh, that is not a white cat. That's a cat. Pure white possum. And I don't know anything about possum.
They do not spread rabies.
Okay, well, that was the main thing I was worried, because it acted like
there's
it wanted
something
to be pat on
there's
the head or
something in their pH level that the rabies virus cannot survive, so they cannot.
I mean,
spread
now
rabies.
I'm hearing that they're all really nice.
No,
and,
I don't know if
They're more
nice.
they're more scared of you than
it's-
Yeah,
than you
they-
are of them.
they will defend themselves, but mostly
This one was walking right up to me like, you know,
I've
like a
I've seen them
cat
play
would if it was friendly.
I've seen them play dead, and it's hilarious. You know,
So there
that
was
whole
one
thing
in our
about being
backyard.
like awesome.
There was one in our backyard one time that one of the neighborhood cats was chasing, and it was the very first time I ever saw a possum play dead.
Yeah.
It was chasing around the yard, and it just drops dead, and the cat's looking at it like, what the heck?
I've read that's not even them playing dead.
We
That's a
don't get
nervous system
possums
thing
here.
where they just shut down.
I get Gila monsters.
That's cool.
That's
don't tell
cool.
my daughter that. She'll go try and catch one.
They're a little poisonous.
They're
they're dangerous. Just a wee bit. So I like Ginger's comment here. I think you could call it a team up with Luke and Anakin versus Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. Yes, I would agree with that. Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
So thoughts on what we're going to see in Episode 6?
Is Reva going to snark on Luke?
Yeah, before we go on to thoughts, we see Reva pick up what appears to be the destroyed communication device that Obi-Wan was holding with the message from
Well,
Bale.
he handed it to what's his name?
The fake Jedi?
The fake Jedi to hold for him.
Yeah,
and he dropped it.
So now we have a garbled message from Bale talking about a boy and Tatooine.
And mentions Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen.
So, and Reva's already had a run.
Had a thing with
Uncle Owen. So
all the way back in the first episode.
So why is this communication device hanging around? What does it mean? And how can I figure it out now with a hole in my gut, thanks to my boss?
Right. So we have this thing. Can she be redeemed? Can she not be redeemed? What is she going to do with the information she knows? Because it's pretty important information. Obviously, we know it's not going to get to Vader because he doesn't know. But how is this going to get resolved?
Yeah. Well. Also, we also see that Obi-Wan is aware of this.
Let me. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. Reva had, like we said, Reva's had the run-in with Owen Lars already. Apparently, obviously she has enough sense to know this is an important message, and she knows that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. If she does her due diligence, she can figure out that Anakin Skywalker was from Tatooine.
Right.
And possibly do enough research to find out that Owen Lars was his stepbrother.
Right.
And she could tell him, there's a boy on Tatooine that this Owen Lars is watching.
She could.
It is.
She could. But then again, she could also just use that to get back at Obi-Wan and not tell Darth Vader at all.
Right. But here's a thought. In Empire Strikes Back, first off, Darth Vader runs into Luke at the destruction of the first Death Star. He finds out he's a Skywalker. By Empire Strikes Back, we know that Darth Vader knows of the son of Skywalker. And of course, the big reveal in Empire Strikes Back is Luke, I am your father.
Right.
What's to
Spoiler
say
alert,
that...
Steve.
What?
Spoiler alert, Steve.
Spoiler alert, Steve.
He's not watching, but
yeah, spoiler alert, Steve.
What if Reva brings that information to Vader and Vader figures out that the boy his half-brother is watching is his son?
And decides to stay away.
He stays away to protect him from the Emperor.
I don't know.
It's plausible.
But
I don't think so.
It's plausible.
But I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it is plausible because
it is plausible.
There is never any clear definition as to why
the only reason
or
why I
how
say it's
he knows
not
of the son of Skywalker, other than
Again, as I said earlier, Luke became the hero of the rebellion, and his name spread out far and wide. Luke Skywalker. There's only, only very few people know of Anakin Skywalker being Darth Vader. So that word goes out, hey, did you hear about, word of mouth, you hear about this kid Luke Skywalker. This is the kid Luke Skywalker.
It's
and it goes around.
And remember, it's Vader's the one that says, what if he can be turned?
Right.
So maybe he knew he had a son. He stays away to protect him from the Emperor. But now, what's his son do? Goes and blows up the Emperor's pet project, gets his name out there in the record books, hero of the rebellion. Well, crap. Now I got to do something about my kid. Hey, let's turn him instead of killing him. And the Emperor goes, okay. I think Anakin knows about Luke. I don't think he knows about Leia.
Well, he knows
about Luke.
Well, we all know that he knew that Padme was expecting.
Yeah. I mean, he was excited for the kids.
And he knew that Padme had died, but he was under the impression that she died and the children died with her.
Right. Well, only when he didn't know she was pregnant with
him. Right.
Yeah.
So he probably figured, I think it was easily deduced that Luke would be his son when the name Skywalker goes out. But I'm not sure that it's plausible that he would know about. I think he would know. I don't think he would know he has a son because then it would give him hope.
Right.
Of something which would offend him, because remember, Vader spends so much of his time loathing Anakin that he keeps forcing him down. So Vader would go out and kill Luke. But Anakin would have to fight back because in the way that I've always read it and understood it, and the way Filoni has always talked about it, is like Vader and Anakin are like two separate people inhabiting the same body.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there has to be some hope there. Okay, there still has to be that glimmer of hope for Luke to recognize it and see it and feel it through the Force. And 2, for Vader to pick up the Emperor and throw him into that shaft and return him.
I think that happens. I think that happens in Empire.
I think that happens in Empire.
I think that happens in Empire when they, after the fight and Darth Vader severs his hands and Luke's getting away and they're having this little force feeling conversation, and Vader's reaching out to Luke and Luke is reaching out to Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
because he's like, why didn't you tell me?
Right.
So in this particular Obi-Wan series is going to end with Luke not having a clue. He's still going to be clueless as ever. He's still going to be the kid sitting on the top of that thing, pretend flying a
dang it, Obi-Wan better bring him that toy back. That's all I got to say.
But I don't think that Luke will have it won't have any idea, because Luke's going to stay the naive, unaware kid that we meet up.
If it holds
farm boy from Tatooine.
If it holds true to what happened in Rebels, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, Steve.
Spoiler alert. If it holds true to what happened in Rebels, when what's his name? Darth Maul tries to get one last fight with Obi-Wan and then go after Luke. Luke never knew what happened.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's going to be the same.
And I think if they want to really,
although Darth Maul's last words was like hope.
Yeah. That was Darth Maul's switch to the dark from the dark side.
From the dark to the light,
which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Dirk,
So I don't think Luke will know anything.
Spoiler alert,
He's
Dirk,
gonna
because I don't
stay-
think Dirk has watched Rebels.
Oh,
Dirk,
I've seen that scene though, because
Oh,
that's
okay.
shoot!
it's on
sorry.
YouTube and everything else.
Yeah.
I figure
you know.
you guys just watched everything.
I have
Not
not
Dirk.
seen Rebels.
Mostly.
Not Dirk.
I have not seen Rebels. I
By the
have
way,
seen all
Dirk.
of Clone Wars and stuff.
By the way, Dirk, I'm not going to spoil season 4 of Young Justice for
Young
you,
Justice,
because
I'm watching that slowly.
the ending was really good.
Oh shoot! I gotta go watch that now.
Yeah.
Predictions for the next. Is that what we're on? Predictions.
Yeah, we're on
What we're going to
predictions.
do next. I think that we are going to get Qui-Gon in ghost form.
We have
I think
to.
he's going to do you remember Mickey in the Rocky films where he
Mhm.
goes,
Yeah.
"Hey, Rock, you got to go out there and catch that chicken." I think that we're going to get that. I think we're going to get that with Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon's going to come and he's going to say, "Look, Vader is your responsibility here. You gotta take care of this, and you got to get Leia back to her family." And I think that's what we're going to get with him, and kind of a little pep talk, and it will set that thing up. I don't know why you would mention Qui-Gon so damn many times and
Without
not have
bringing
him
him
show
in.
up.
Yep.
And for him to show up right before the big fight, I think we're going to get a big fight between Obi-Wan again,
We have to.
and Darth Vader. I think we're going to finally get that. And again, I think that Obi-Wan has to win that fight in some regard. I'm not saying he has to disarm him or shame him or anything, but there has to be a way that Obi-Wan bests him.
Yes.
So that he can get him off his tail.
And so that,
we got to get a fight
Vader
between Obi-Wan and
think,
Reva.
will not go out after him right away.
Exactly. There has to be something that's going to get Vader to go, this is better left alone, so I can do whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing here.
Unless
I can't pursue this guy.
Where Palpatine puts the leash on Vader.
Or that. Or that. I mean, it could come from on high, where he goes, you need to get your eye on the prize instead of on this other thing that you're messing with over here. That's possible too, that he oversteps and the Emperor goes, enough.
Right.
So maybe we see the Emperor.
All it's gonna take for Obi-Wan to beat Anakin is for him to get the high ground.
Right. Well, it will probably not be in the way. It will probably. I mean, he says, they've also set up that you can win fights without weapons.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Obi-Wan defeats him much in the same way that Obi-Wan does, which is just kind of outthinking him or being a better person than him, doing something that ends the thing, in a way that Vader, instead of a full frontal assault, which is what, that's
Vader is all
Darth
about
Vader is the
crush
unstoppable force.
Go in and
crush.
Obi-Wan
is the unmovable object. So Obi-Wan will be unmovable.
Yep.
So it reminds me of the Jet Li movie, The One.
Oh, such a good movie.
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Where the evil version of him was always about moving forward, just straightforward, whereas the good one was like everything runs in a circle, and defensive. And in a way, that's a perfect example of the Sith and the Jedi ways,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I've said many times that I think that Obi-Wan is kind of the perfect Jedi. I mean, his all of his approaches are exactly the way that I would imagine that Jedi should be. There's a lot of other people that are, they have their own little kind of take on it and all that sort of stuff. But, Obi-Wan typically does the right thing and acts correctly and is a good-hearted person. So I expect him to do much like Luke and will win the fight without, beating him over the head with something.
Yeah.
I think that the thing I really like Obi-Wan's series is it's really humbling Obi-Wan. We're seeing a kind of in some ways a conceited type Obi-Wan who was just got defeated by the Order 66, but now he's really being humbled. So, he's not so conceited. He's now seeing the fight that people are doing, the common folk, which he never really engaged in, is always the clones, dignitaries. the council.
And
He never really got a chance to engage in the normal people.
You're right. Obi-Wan was one of the elites.
He was a very elitist.
He's always been one of the elites.
Right. And that was in fact the one of the reasons for the downfall of the Jedi as a whole.
Absolutely.
So
another great thing that George Lucas brought to us.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of the class warfare thing. I mean, he really laid that out quite nicely.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and it's even more expressed in Clone Wars when Ahsoka leaves the Jedi.
Yeah,
and when she
meets up with the two sisters.
When she meets up with the two sisters, and even before then, when she was on the run.
Yeah.
When she's below, the first time she goes below Coruscant, and they're like, yeah, everybody up there at the top doesn't care anything about us, even the Jedi kind of thing. So
it's the elitist thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a very humbled Obi-Wan.
Well, dare I say Star Wars has been woke for decades.
Right.
Kind
of like Marvel.
Yeah. and DC and anything that has to do with
Star Trek. Star Trek isn't political.
So anyway, I don't even want to go into that one.
That original Star Trek series was all political.
It was.
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness!
Every episode was political, and
definitely
almost every.
Right.
It was. I mean,
That's why it was so good.
How far off the mark are we going to go here? I mean, the Klingons were the Russians. The Romulans were the Chinese. And they had.
Don't forget. He's black on the right side. I'm black on the left side.
That's right where I was going next. I mean, they had space hippies show up on one episode, where the man is beating down the space hippies and stuff. I mean, look, every episode in Star Trek was talking about society and about, the civil rights and the stuff that was going on at the time. Science fiction is always about that. It is a reflection
let's
of
go even
what
further.
is happening right now.
The Gary 7 episodes were distinctly those were distinctly surrounding the whole missile crisis.
Yeah. Hey, let's go even further. Twilight Zone.
All right, Rod Serling was just crazy,
and I was yesterday years old to find out that the series Twilight Zone was Rod Serling trying to explain the whole Emmett Till story.
I have to,
the whole what?
Emmett Till.
Oh,
I have to admit that Twilight Zone scared me as a kid.
Yeah,
it still scares me.
I couldn't watch it because I had nightmares for months.
It's creepy.
So I couldn't watch it. I was too scared. It's kind of like Jaws, can't do it.
It's the kind of horror that I like, which is not,
too.
Boo.
It's not that.
Horror. It's in your head.
It's in your head.
Psychological. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep, and I really needed my sleep, so I did not watch it because I was scared.
What if I fall through the wall into another dimension? What am I going to do? That's scary.
Talkie Tina.
That's scary. What if
speaking
or like when you're when they reveal the people and they're not people? I mean, that just plays too much on your head.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
One of my favorite psychological horror movies. That's of the 2000s. Mariam knows why. It was the movie Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's because it had Johnny Depp in it.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that one either.
It's about an author who goes a little crazy.
Just a tad.
A little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I kind of like that.
It's a good movie, and it makes me go, "Oh, that could be me one day." So let's switch gears and let's talk a little Marvel. So, who watched episode 2 of Miss Marvel?
I missed it. I watched episode 1.
I had to because
I watched episode 1 as well.
I had to because of that nifty little banner I made for. So
But you're cool to spoil it with me. I just remember her when she finally put the bracelet on, and that's pretty much where
I
I
have some
ended.
things to say about the last episode, the first episode.
Tell us what
the one thing that stood out about this episode for me, and of course, there's all the little high school things and everything, but the one thing that I was really interested in is when they started getting into the whole dynamic of the Muslim faith and going into the mosque and all that stuff, and then there was like the little gathering that they had,
the Eid Mubarak celebration. Yeah.
Yes, and I thought that was interesting because there was the description of the cliques within the mosque, which me growing up in a Baptist church, religion can be very cliquish. Churches are very cliquish. And the descriptions of there were the mosque bros, and there were these guys that had these younger guys, and they had the cool cars and they dressed cool and everything, and what was the other one?
I liked the Illuminantes.
The Illuminantes.
The Illuminantes.
And these are the older ladies within the mosque who sit around and gossip about everybody within,
I can see that.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's not just limited to people at a mosque. It's at the Baptist churches. It's at the Methodist churches.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
For sure.
And that whole thing right there had me grinning from ear to ear, describing all the people, in their little groups. And I was just sitting there going, man, it's not just, it wasn't just at my church. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And what were the other the Insta clicks?
The Instagram girls. Or
yeah.
Like that.
Well, all they did was sit around and take selfies of themselves and post themselves on Instagram. And they were even doing it while in prayer in the mosque.
In the mosque.
Yeah, and there's some really good character development that goes on. You get to know a little bit more about some of the characters in there. Didn't get to know a lot more about Bruno, which is her best friend, who actually has a crush on.
We don't talk about Bruno. No.
So I'm hoping to see more about Bruno.
You see over there, Lin-Manuel. Jeez.
So, but yeah, this is a good episode. She finally makes her real public appearance.
I love the nickname they gave her, Nightlight.
Nightlight, yeah. We see we see Damage Control, and they're full
more of the DODC.
The DODC. So Damage Control makes their official appearance, other than Spider-Man. What was it? Homecoming.
Yeah, I'm about to say, weren't they in the first Spider-Man film?
Yeah,
Homecoming. Yep.
So Damage Control is going to be more prevalent in this one. So we get to see her using her powers.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the second episode, but from everything that I'm reading is that this, because everybody's saying it's really like Disney-esque, type
it's
show.
It's kind of wholesome.
It's a very wholesome show.
Yeah,
but
it's actually really refreshing.
According to the writers, it's going to go into dark territory.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can see it.
But it touched on some dark territory in this episode, in episode 2.
The hot guy. They introduced the hot guy.
Whose mother seems to be very interested in what Kamala's able to do.
Yeah.
But the whole backstory about Kamala's great grandmother is touching some dark territory. But they're doing it still in a way that is appealing to the younger crowd.
It's like
it's kind
Disney
of
youth.
Yeah, it's a wholesome show, which is really nice. And I did. Dan even made it. Dan watched it with me, and he even made the comment that he learned some things, because he was asking me. He goes, "You're friends with a lot of different people," and he's like, "Are these kind of gatherings normal? He goes, is there really that kind of separation in a mosque? And I said, yeah, there is.
There is.
When I lived in Ohio, our next door neighbors were Muslim. And Caitlin became very good friends with their older daughter. She started asking questions about, the Islamic faith. She started asking questions about the Quran. And Fareshte came over to me and said to me, she said, Kate is asking questions. Are you comfortable with me teaching her about my religion? And I looked at her and I said, yes, I am. I said, because I would rather someone like you teach her about it than her learn about, Islam and Muslims from, someone who is very
just watches TV
against it. Yeah. Who just watches TV, who excuse me, who doesn't broaden their mind, who thinks that, all Muslims are bad.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's a very interesting episode, especially her cousin who talks about how there's a scene where Kamala's powers are acting up in class. Yeah. And she rushes out just in time.
So
class is over.
Assuming that she still has her bracelet on.
Yes, she still has her bracelet on. So she runs out of class, and her cousin's trying to talk to her, and she's looks around. And her cousin's like, "Well, where did she go?" And she follows her to the restroom, and she, she's like, "Oh, I'm having some problems." So she tries to hand her a tampon over the window, and she's like, "It's not that kind of a problem."
It's not that kind of problem.
But she says she talks about things are changing, and she doesn't know how to handle them. And then her cousin talks about how she's within the family and everybody, she's too white for the people in her family and her religion, but she's too brown and too ethnic for everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's what she struggles with. And she wears her, she wears the wrap, she wears the hijab, and she says she does it because that's what she feels, that's where she feels, the most comfortable in herself. And I thought that was a nice little touch. Mm-hmm. And it's just a feel good
thing. It is. Right. It is.
It's
how long the feel good lasts.
Yeah, and it's like Disney's version of the CW. It's just the CW end of the Marvel universe, and I'm fine with it.
I'll get caught up.
Yeah.
Dirk, what are your thoughts on the first episode since you watched it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on this sort of thing. The one of the things that I really like about a series is when I get to see things that I get to learn a little bit. Mm-hmm. I get to visit a place that I haven't been, or I get into a different culture that I'm not familiar. I talked about on the main show. I talked about watching Atlanta. I felt like that's kind of a peek into a world that's not the world I live in and stuff. And I get to see kind of a different perspective. I get, I get to learn some things. There's another series that I think that is maybe they're borrowing a little bit from this. There's a comedy series on Hulu called Rami, Rami. And he's a Muslim, but is also very much Americanized. Mm-hmm. And he deals with a lot of the same sort of things that I see in this, which is, he's trying to be a good Muslim, but he's also, trying
Americanized.
Yeah, I mean, he's growing up in America, and he wants a girlfriend, and he has these very, very strict Muslim parents who are always on his ass, and he's trying to kind of find his way through the world, and that leads to things that are funny, and it leads to things that are tragic, and it's an interesting story. But in the course of that, you learn a lot about the religion and how he's dealing with these things, and he talks to people who are Orthodox and are very much into it, and they tell him things and all this sort of stuff. And I see that very much in this. It's a much, much, much lighter version of that. But I like that. I like to visit this world that I'm not in. I get to visit this of a thing in a very non-threatening way. I get to do this. And I also think that this thing, I think that there is a very direct correlation between what they're doing with Miss Marvel and what Stan Lee did with Spider-Man back in the 60s, which is give you the struggle of being a teenager,
yes,
and trying to deal with the reality of the world that you live in and also be a superhero.
Right.
I think if Stan Lee may have known a little bit about this, but I think that this is directly related to the young, high school Spider-Man thing. It's just packaged a little bit different, but it's very Marvel.
It's the
very
exact
much
same thing.
right on target
Mm-hmm.
with what was established back in the 60s by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko with Spider-Man.
There's one thing I'm not going to spoil for you about this episode, Dirk, because you and me both like her brother.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the brother.
He's the cool brother, and we learn more. We learn about his young past in this episode.
Love him,
Yeah.
The parent, he's the guy.
She loves him.
Oh yeah, he's just a good guy. The scene where he comes into look, it's like Scott said that he and his family watched the episode, and the first episode weren't really blown away by it. They didn't like it too much. I was in on this thing from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed. I literally cried. I mean, I was in on this episode from the very beginning. And when she's getting kind of hit from all angles and stuff, and the brother comes into the room and goes, "Don't worry, I got you. I'll go talk to the family about it." For some reason, that really affected me. That felt very real to me, that the brother's like, "You know what? I'll go talk to the family." That's the point that made me cry, because it was like such a great, your older brother sticking up for you, the guy who's all about, the rules and the parents love him and stuff. He's going to put his own reputation on the line a little bit for his sister, who he sees that everyone is picking on and stuff. I really just love that family moment. I think they're doing that very well.
Because he understands Kamala.
He gets it. He gets it. He knows that she's not, she needs a little breathing room. And so he's going to go in there and spend some capital to give her some breathing room on this stuff. Also, I think style wise, yes, this does feel a little bit Disneyfied, but is the style so damn different from like Into the Spider-Verse? I mean, it's kind of wacky. All of the stuff that all of the graphics and stuff that appear on the walls.
Oh,
I think the color makes it feel like a live action comic.
Yes.
Because it's very colorful. Yes. So
yes.
you could literally there's like scenes where it looks like it could be on a page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't people like that? How kind of open and free and expressive this thing is? If it was done like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for example, which I loved, but if it was done like that, you would miss the kind of youthful, creative spirit that they're trying to cross with this thing. And I mean, by God, does everything have to be the same?
No, and that's one of the things that I love about this series. I mean, not everything has to be blood and guts and gore. No,
I can take everything from Endgame to this.
Right.
I mean, everything doesn't have to be dead serious, and everything doesn't have to be, for adults and stuff. Isn't it okay to make a series that's aimed at a younger crowd?
Well, especially if they start wanting to put together the whole, the young Avengers.
Yes.
You're gonna need young
you need the young
characters.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. They have all the elements in place right now to do the Young Avengers.
Right. They do. And
yeah, they're all there.
They're all there.
And they're going to do the Iron Man. They already announced it. What is it? Ironheart.
Ironheart.
They got the Hawkeye, Katie Bishop. They have this girl now. So it's coming together.
It's all there.
What is it? I can't remember the
Captain America
Patriot.
is it Patriot?
Something like that. Well,
who is the son of the old
the grandson.
the grandson.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He was introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
he's got the new wings.
Right.
No.
Different
character.
Different character.
Different character.
But there is that guy
he's going to be the new Falcon.
Yeah,
he's going to be the new Falcon.
Falcon. Oh, you're talking about the guy with the shield.
Yes.
The grandson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So they introduced him. We've got
and then you got I think
Scarlet Witch's two sons. You know, because I don't think we've seen the end of Scarlet Witch.
No,
Spoiler alert.
No, we have not.
No, and those two were in the Young Avengers.
Those two were in the Young Avengers.
Yeah. The only one missing
they need to come in.
Only one missing is Hulkling. So
which we're getting
which we'll probably get out of the Secret Wars because he's a half Skrull, half what is it that Captain the original Marvel was.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But they don't have to follow the comics. I mean,
they don't have to
they want to.
No, really? Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
they can justify it however they want.
I mean, let's think about like Iron Lad, the young Iron Man was a version of Kang the Conqueror. So we're getting Kang as a villain. Yeah. So guess when we're going to get this new Iron Lad? You know, they're setting it all up. So
they're also setting up. They've also set up Thunderbolts really well.
Yeah, I was just going to say they do Thunderbolts.
I mean,
although I really would like a Yelena and Kate Bishop team up.
That might happen.
Yeah. We might see
really
that could happen. We are going to get another season of Hawkeye.
Yeah,
we are.
Yes,
yes.
They just talked about that.
To see,
yay! I didn't know that. That's exciting.
You know, we're getting a second season of Loki, right?
Yes, I knew that.
Oh, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew that.
If they do Thunderbolts, it'll be interesting to see if they actually bring Bucky into it or not.
Also, they just did a big push on Loki for an Emmy. They created an Emmy trailer pushing that, which I think is very interesting. I mean, it should win. I'm all for them getting recognized because that was a very innovative series.
Yeah,
Loki was great. It was like, I don't know, all of them TV. The thing with Marvel has not disappointed me in their TV shows.
Me either.
I know. So that's why I think that Miss Marvel will end up being just fine, and it'll become an integrated part of the universe. I mean, Moon Knight blew my butt away.
Moon Knight was very good.
I still have not seen Moon Knight.
Hasn't seen Moon Knight.
I have to finish. I watched the first episode.
And I'm a Moon Knight fan from back in the early 80s.
Oh my god!
I used to read Moon Knight, like the magazine-sized things of Moon Knight back in the 80s, and I have just not seen it yet.
Well, the thing for me is I never read the comics on Moon Knight, so I didn't really know. So I was really trying to understand who this character was from what they were presenting me, and I remember having to watch the first episode twice because I was so confused.
Right.
But once I got a hang of what the characters were and what was happening, then I was actually enjoying it, and I really would love to see a second season, but I don't know if they're going to get one.
Oh, they are
because you have this third personality that we need to get to know.
There's a second season coming. And going back to Ms. Marvel, she is a prominent character in the Captain Marvel sequel. So so there was an article released where she's
be called Marvels.
The Marvels.
Plural.
And so she was, the young girl who's playing Ms. Marvel has been said to, she's like, I'm really surprised as to how much screen time I'm going to get in this movie. So apparently our two other characters that are in this movie are going to get a lot of screen time along with Brie Larson.
I thought it was a nice nod that her rival in high school was dressed in the old Miss Marvel outfit.
Miss Marvel outfit. I thought that was funny too.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was a nice little.
Yeah, that was a nice nod. It's like her costume isn't even correct.
Right. They're making fun of it. Yeah. And I was like,
I like the black outfit personally.
I'll get caught up on those episodes.
I thought I had an action figure of that right here next to me, but apparently I don't anymore.
Yeah.
The black
like that look.
outfit.
Yeah, I
I
like
just
that
have
black
to-
outfit.
That's when she became. That's when she became Warbird. Also,
Mm.
she changed her
Yeah.
name to Warbird.
Yeah.
But she still had the lightning bolt going down the chest.
Right. And the sash, whatever.
Yeah.
They've kept the sash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have to. The sash is like Miss Marvel's
Yeah.
signature.
And
The
she was
sash
once
with
known
that
as binary as well. Don't forget her binary character.
Right.
Yep.
Man.
All right. Well, how about a little housekeeping, guys?
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
So I love that. I just can't help. Housekeeping. So if there's a TV show, old or new, that you would like us to spoil for you, let us know. We will be more than happy to get it on here. We're always up for watching stuff. You probably heard us talking about possibly doing, Farscape. Easy there, Mariam. Okay. I'm afraid if we do Farscape, it's going to be a free for all, and there will be no.
I'll have to
no
go back and
time limit.
rewatch. I'd have to go back and
love it.
rewatch.
Spoiler alert episodes with Farscape will just be mad.
Crackers don't matter.
No, out of their minds. I'm sorry.
I love Out of Their Minds. Oh my god.
But anyway, if you're interested in seeing one of these episodes, one of these TV shows spoiled for you, or you just want to hear our take on one of these, TV shows, old, new, anything in between, go ahead and drop us an email at taskforcegeek@gmail.com. And we will toss around the idea, see what we think, and you might actually see, the TV show that you're interested in hearing us tear apart on one of these spoiler alert episodes.
I wish we could get somehow, some way. I wish we could get the old 70s Spider-Man so that we could rewatch it.
That would be cool too. Yeah,
and tear it apart.
Those might be difficult to watch at this point.
I know, but
Now I will tell you, I have seen the entirety of the Japanese Spider-Man, and
those are probably very easy to watch.
I love it.
Still,
I love it. All I can say is if you are a Power Rangers fan, it's right along that line. So that's good. Dirk, we've discussed talking about maybe spoiling the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
And
God,
maybe
I haven't
even
seen that since I was a kid.
yeah.
Exactly. Neither have I.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched the whole thing, and it's
Yeah, I
still
have too.
pretty
You
good.
rewatched the whole thing.
It was pretty
held
good
up?
until 1980.
I watched the first two episodes, which is the movie and stuff.
Basically, it was the
And
movie. Yeah,
it was much better than I expected. It was really good. I thought
it's held up. Battlestar Galactica, not counting Battlestar Galactica 1980, Battlestar Galactica itself only went for one season. I think. I don't even think it was a full 24 episodes. Was it, Walt?
It was a full 24.
Was it a full 24?
It was
It only went for one season, so that would be an easy one, in between some stuff for us.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, Farscape is a
second
much bigger
season,
bite.
1980.
Yeah, Farscape is a bigger bite, but it would be a good filler. One. We could do a couple of episodes.
Well, I like the evergreen nature of it as well. I mean, obviously all of the episodes are out there. If someone just wants to kind of watch the series with us, and then at any time, one day from now or 10 years from now, anyone who's watching the stuff and just wants an episode by episode breakdown or whatever can watch it from now on.
And the fun thing about Farscape is if you've been a Farscape fan like we have been from the very beginning when it was originally aired, and you will discover Farscape references in many of your favorite TV shows because the writers have moved on and started writing and stuff, and they make references to Farscape. And actually, speaking of Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, who's the
Ben Browder.
Ben Browder.
No, well, he's in it, but the director, He's actually a Farscape fan.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gunn, James Gunn.
James
Yeah,
Gunn.
James Gunn.
James Gunn, right? So he actually has written and said that the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy, like Gamora and Star-Lord, is actually is lifted.
You can
It's
see-
inspired by.
Oh yeah,
No, it's
see
inspired
that.
by John and Aaron.
yeah.
Gamora's
You
a
can
little
see
more
that.
Tiana.
Of course,
Well,
of course.
but it
Yeah.
is very inspired. And then you've got Rocket, which is Rigel.
Yeah.
And then I think Dargo is Drax.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he's inspired.
With old-
And when
with
people
old is
said
new.
there's Farscape reflection, he goes, "Well, yeah,
Who's
because
Groot?
it is. I'm a
Yeah.
Farscape fan.
Who's Groot?
I don't know. Who
Maybe
else is
Pilot.
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 Maybe
Pilot.
Groot's pilot.
I am Groot.
Groot is pilot.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, Dirk, you've been watching the old Logan's Run. It would be really cool to go back and watch some of those 70s and 80s
Logan's Run was
shows
much better than I expected.
and go over them. Like
It
I
had
was
some real
watching-
moments to it.
I just rewatched the entire 2 seasons of the original Shazam Saturday morning series.
Oh my
on Tubi.
god.
And
Good Lord.
it's cheesy and it kind of holds up too for the time because it's
Yeah.
like because back
Is
in the
ISIS
day
out there? I would like
I
to
wish
watch
ISIS was out there. I
ISIS
wish
used to
it
be on
was.
Hulu. It used,
I
used
still
to
have
be on
not seen
Hulu.
ISIS. I'd very much like to
So
see
I
that.
would like to see ISIS return too because that one was another
That was a
decent show.
great show. I remember that one.
Arc 2. I would like to Jason of Star Command is on Amazon Prime.
Is
Oh, wow.
it?
Yes.
Ooh,
I would like to see its predecessor, Space Academy,
yes.
because that had let's see, Space Academy had what's his name, who was the original Dr. Smith as the commander, and Jason
I
of
will
Star Command
not
had
remember that dude's name.
James Doohan was the commander in Jason of Star Command. So
That's right. I forgot he was the commander in that.
yeah, so there's a bunch of, and I know there's a lot of young people out there going, Jason of Star Command, Space Academy, what? Huh?
There's
So-
some really great
There-
old shows out there.
There were some really good.
There's
back
some that I thought were great, and then I went and tried to watch them, and they
Yeah,
were
they don't all hold
awful.
up.
yeah.
What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
In the 25th
Ugh.
century.
I
Which one?
tried so hard,
Buck-
and
Buck
it
Rogers.
did not work.
Yeah.
Jonathan Harris was the doctor from Lost in Space.
Okay, yeah. So like
Who?
Buck Rogers in the 25th century, like the first season is like, and then the second season you're like, oh my god.
What was his
I
name?
was-
the first season was
tried
painful.
so hard, and I couldn't do it.
I couldn't even get 15 minutes into the first episode of Buck
I-
Rogers, and I remember
And I
loving
love
that show. Yeah,
Twinkie,
just-
and I
no,
loved him,
no,
and I couldn't handle it.
no.
Yeah.
Who
I
was
was a Gil Gerard fan, and I'm going, Gil, honey, you did not hold up well. Oh, sorry.
who was
Couldn't
the
handle
doctor
it.
in Lost in Space?
Jonathan Harris.
Jonathan Harris.
Jonathan Harris? I never would have come up with that name.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just let us know. taskforcegeek@gmail.com. Let us know.
All right, guys.
I would lean heavily to Farscape. Let me do another couple of things. since
Yes,
we're
I
on
was
that
going to
topic.
say, last
Um,
last comments here.
On July 5th, we are going to, which is Tuesday night, we are going to have 1 or 2 people who have a comic, and I can't remember what it is, but we have a guest on July 5th. Either before that or after that, I'm going to have our anniversary episode. We've actually blew past our anniversary episode, but I have something that I want to. I have something that I want to do with the regular contributors, and then we're not too far off of the 100th episode of Task Force Geek, and during that, we're going to invite all of our previous guests. That's a lot of guests, but we won't be able to get everyone to show up. But anyway, that will be coming up in another month or so.
I'm going to reach out to Max for that, see if he'll show up. If he won't show up, I'm going to see if he'll at least
That'd be cool if
record
Max
a
showed
little-
up.
record a
Yeah.
little something if we can get
Yeah,
Max. to at
if
least
he
do that.
literally would record a 2-minute message to us, that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
All right.
All righty then. Well,
We got one more week.
We got one more week. And who knows what's going to happen on episode 6. So
I am excited. I'm actually very excited to see it.
I am too.
Join us at the same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes.
3 o'clock next Sunday. We will be here to talk about the finale, and you don't want to miss it. Until then, for Dirk, Mariam, and Walt, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you, y'all.
Spoiler alert. Y'all have a great week.
May the force be with you.
Keep doing it. A little bit more. May the force. You know, Walt, the next time I see you, I'm going to smack you for that.